Christian Walker has gotten a lot of attention for publicly tearing into his father, Herschel Walker, who of course was a Senate candidate in Georgia and luckily lost to Raphael Warnock, the incumbent. Now, after Herschel Walker's loss, he had more critique, more criticism toward his father. Yesterday, a conservative personality by the name of Elijah Schaffer tried to blame Christian Walker for Herschel Walker's Senate loss, only for Christian to essentially fight back and to do so brutally. So first, if you're not familiar with Elijah Schaffer, just know that he's a host of a right-wing podcast that's featured the likes of Lara Logan, Caitlin Bennett, and Dinesh D'Souza. You know, just a gaggle of great people, really. And I'm being sarcastic there. Now, here's what Elijah Schaffer tweeted recently. Really thankful for Herschel Walker's son for helping Democrats secure another Senate seat, a seat in the Senate. By the way, the incumbent was Democrat Raphael Warnock, so he just kept his seat. Nobody is better at electing Democrats than Republicans. Really spectacular job this round. All the criticism from our own base, lack of support from Mitch, 10 out of 10 every time. Okay. So in response to that, there's more. Let me give you a few more of his tweets. He says, as Brandon Straka once said at an event I attended, hell hath no fury like a pissed off gay man. Ha ha ha, happy pride y'all. And then he says, but he was a bad candidate, quoting people who referred to Herschel Walker as a bad candidate, which he absolutely was. If you're a Republican and say something like this, you should switch parties. This wasn't about the candidate. You know, saying the quiet parts out loud here. This was about control of the Senate and gridlock, bigger picture. Only immature and small-minded were blinded by their own egos to notice. Okay, so Christian Walker responded to that. This is where it gets good. I recommend you not come for me, or I'll have to tell your wife how you had sex with my friend at the Turning Point event in 2021 while you were married to her. I don't like cheaters.
I believe you just did tell him that.
Yeah. No, I kind of like his style here. Now, Christian Walker is not someone I agree with on pretty much anything, but I do agree with fighting back in this way. He also says, this loser was fired from his job for sexual assault and then also had banged my friend 4 times in one night at a conservative conference while he was married and she didn't know. Get your family life together before you speak on mine, adulterer.
Yeah.
Cenk, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, so look, I'm not a fan of Christian Walker. I think he's trying to get attention in 800 different ways. And remember, they loved him before when he was a right-winger, and which by the way, he still is, attacking the left wing, attacking LGBTQ groups, attacking anything that had a pride flag. The right wing loved him then, and they trusted him. And so, but if you notice, now that he said something negative about his dad because, I don't know, he had to live with his dad his whole life and his dad was a prick to him his whole life. But apparently you're not even allowed to say that because the #1 rule is never ever criticize Republicans no matter how much they deserve it and no matter how much they hurt you personally, okay? But the minute that they think that Christian has flipped or turned or said anything that they don't agree with that has not been authorized, instantly they're like, yeah, he's gay. You notice that? The comment about like, oh yeah, here's what Straka said about gay people. In other words, we knew we should have never trusted them. Okay, well that's who you are. You're hateful bigots. And by the way, Christian, you knucklehead. That's how all of the right wingers are. You think they're your friends? They're not your friends. They're just using you. And now that they can't use you anymore because you had one moment of independent thought, hey, look at that. You find yourself on the underside of a bus. Because they never cared about you.
It's all about,
you were just a prop, a tool.
It's all about power. I mean, Elijah Schaffer, again, said the quiet parts out loud, right? For anyone who was critical about Herschel Walker as a candidate, it ain't about the candidate. Who cares about the candidate or how flawed that individual is? This is about control, this is about power.
Yeah, now to the point that Schaffer made about, hey, this isn't about the candidate. No, it is. So does it depend on the situation? Sure. Right, so I can name you 1,000 corporate Democrats that I can't stand who are better than some Trump lackey like Herschel Walker, and the list goes on, right? So I would say to you guys honestly, I don't love that candidate, but these are your 2 choices, and I'd go with that one instead of this one, right? On the other hand, sometimes it's definitely about the candidate, and you have plenty of choices. So for example, there's a candidate who pretended to be a progressive Democrat in 2020 presidential elections. She claimed that she was even more left-wing, more progressive than Bernie Sanders. And what did we do? We called her out and said, no, we think this candidate is not being honest with you guys. Her name was Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, it was about that candidate because oftentimes, they're lying to you, okay? And they're not even what they claim to be. So does it matter who the candidate is? Of course. So, but for Republicans, they're like, it's a child molester like Roy Moore, who cares? It's Herschel Walker who threatened to murder his girlfriends and wives and said one of his personalities might be a serial killer. Who cares? Are they gonna own the libs? Are they gonna hate black people and gay people as much as we do? Oh, he's black? And he gets to vote with us against black people? Even better. That's why they love Christian Walker so much. He was black and gay. And they're like, oh, perfect tool for us.
Yeah.
But the minute the tool finds his own voice, he's a goner.
I also just have to mention the hilarious hypocrisy that we see from right-wing men in particular over and over again when it comes to morality, family values, all of that stuff, right? Because Christian Walker gave some details about what Elijah Schaffer was up to, cheating on his wife, in Christian Walker's words, banging Christian's friend at a Turning Point USA conference multiple times. But previously, Elijah Schaffer had some judgmental things to say about others. Let's go to graphic 7 here. If women stop sleeping around, excessively drinking, gossiping, acting like total, he says bitches, cheating, etc., and instead focused on building character, acted gracefully, dressed modestly, they'd realize that as you start acting like a decent woman, you'll run into decent men. Like you, Elijah, like you, cheating on your wife? Are you the kind of decent man women can only hope to end up with?
So I'm conflicted about this because I hate this thing where they're like, oh yeah, you once made the mistake of trusting me and told me that you cheated on your wife, and now I'm gonna out you and all that stuff.
Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
On the other hand, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And so when he goes around moralizing to gay people about how moral he is with his sex life. Oops, gay people didn't do anything wrong. They're perfectly moral in their sex lives. You're just judging them because you're a hateful bigot. You, on the other hand, apparently did things that were terribly wrong, okay? But then you add in that extra layer of women, it's your fault, and you should be dressing modest, and you should be classy like me. Meanwhile, he's at a conference, he's like, who's dressing immodestly? Who can I cheat with? Yeah, right? Because that's how, honestly, the great majority of right-wing men think. There, enjoy that. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.